Hello everybody, what's up? It's GMrDrew. It's been a while since I came on, maybe a couple weeks or so. What happened before, I know I said I wanted to do this more consistently, and it's true. And I was working on my Ninja Turtle pictures. I think I got up to like inking them, or I started using the markers on them the last time I left you guys. And I told myself I was going to wait until I got into like darker colors to explain these things, you know, or to make better videos, because when I start off with the light colors, the camera could barely pick them up. So what I want to do, I finished the turtle pictures. I finished all 3 of them that week, and I went on to go to an event and have since then made like digital print copies of the turtle pictures, so I'll be able to show you guys what you missed out on, because what I ended up doing was not recording them, and I don't know why. I'm just not so good at it. So I just wanted to show you guys. I did 3 pictures. If you remember, I was going to do one black and gray, which is the one I'm holding right here, and these are smaller copies as well. The turtle pictures were the same size as this page I'm working on right here. These prints are about 1/4 of the size. And so yeah, the detail is going to be a little bit smaller. Let me see if I can hold it up to the camera and get it a little better here. Alright. Oh, yeah, this camera's like backwards, so it's kind of hard to. But yeah, as you can see, lots of detail. This is the black and gray one. It came out alright, using the cool grays and the warm grays, but here's a copy of the all 4 red headbands. Let's see if I can get this. I just wanted to show you guys, because I know I said I was gonna like bring you with me on that, you know, while I colored, so you could watch me as I colored them, and I kinda went back on my word on that, but I did get it done. Coming up a little pinkish on the camera. I don't know why it looks that way, but that's the one with the red headbands. And then finally, here's the one with all 4 color, you know, where Donatello's purple, Leonardo's blue, Raphael has the red, and Mikey is orange. So yeah, that's here's all 3 of them. This is kind of like what they ultimately came out looking like, and these are just 1/4 size print copies of them. But you know, now that I've had those finished, I went to SuperCon in Miami since then, and showed, you know, displayed the pictures there, and now I just have the digital copies of them for the most part, and I'll be selling those. But I wanted to get back into video, you know, videotaping myself drawing these things. I kind of have fun with it, and I don't know if you guys are enjoying it at all. I know some people are, but, and you know, that makes it worth it. That makes it all worth it. Yeah, what I'm working on here is actually something I didn't get done on time for my brother's birthday. My brother was in the Navy. He was a search and rescue type of guy, or a search and rescue operative, whatever they're called. And he, you know, he always told me that he wanted a SAR design done, and I like to do things that aren't so straightforward. Like before, I've done a soldier's cross, but I added like an eagle element to it and made it all crazy looking. And I'm kind of doing something similar here with the SAR, where I'm taking their logo and changing it up a bit. What they have here, what they normally have in their logo is a anchor you can kind of make out here. Their saying is, "So others may live." That's what's going to go in this banner. That's what I'm actually in the middle of working on when I decided. I was like, oh hey, why don't I record myself? And there's always like a bird carrying a fish, and my brother always wanted to implement like a skull into the design, but you know, there's a lot of elements going on. So I was like, what if I get a skeleton carrying a fish, but give the skeleton some wings to kind of like be like the bird, but the skeleton will still, you know, the skull will still be in there, and the fish will still be in there. I guess the bird and the fish is supposed to signify like their search and rescue. What they do is they jump out of helicopters and then they pick people up out of the water or people who are in trouble and bring them up to the helicopter. So I'm guessing that's what the bird and the fish kind of signify. I couldn't find anything when I researched it, so I'm just guessing here. So I added this element completely, you know, something that I'm doing for just so I can have fun with making this design. And then right up here at the top I'm gonna put SAR. Not exactly sure how I'm gonna put it yet. If I'm gonna use a banner or if, you know, if I'm gonna use something else. But yeah, right. That's what's going on with this picture. Like I said, I was just in the middle of doing the letters, so you're gonna get to see me mess up these letters. What I got going on here is some tracing paper over my original drawing, so you can see it's a lot cleaner or a lot more visible here. Because there's so much pencils going on and everything already with the banner. Usually my style when I do some lettering and there's banners involved, the letters will kind of break through the banner. So that's why I use this tracing paper, because as I draw these letters and they break through the banner in some places, I don't want to have to erase, you know, all the dark lines that I've already established in, you know, the banner that I've drawn so far. So yeah, I think maybe the reason why I forget to record these things is because I listen to podcasts and I'm not sure, you know, they're free, so I don't think that they're free to listen to, so I don't think that there's like any copyright issues, so to speak. And that's probably why I didn't do the recordings, was because I wasn't sure if you guys would be interested in me talking, or if you're interested in me just kind of drawing and you guys put it on mute, or you know, if you don't mind listening to the podcast that I listen to, you know, I don't know, maybe someone leave some comments and let me know. The podcast that I'm currently listening to right now is the Kevin Smith's. He does one called Fat Man on Batman, and I like it. He interviews people that are in the comic book industry. It's mainly about Batman, of course. And yeah, this one, I think it's his latest one. It's number 87 with Josh Trank. He's the current director of the upcoming Fantastic Four movie, and he also directed Chronicle back in the day. So I'm about 2/3 into this podcast, and that's when I was kind of like, hey, maybe I'll just record myself and let these things play, and you guys can listen to that while I just draw these letters in and see what else I got going on. And let's see how it goes. Let's see if YouTube kicks me off. I'll hit play. Like I said, I'm 2/3 into it, so they're already like deep into a conversation, but maybe it's better than me talking to you, you know? Alright.
But you know, when I eventually got to high school, in 9th grade, you just right away start working. You know, it's like your 8th period, or you know, not your 8th, like menstrual cycle. I mean, like, you know, in school we have, you know, so more. It's extra. Is it considered extracurricular? But you get credit for it. You get credit for it, but that's all I did in high school. I I mean, I figured out how to fucking sign myself out of class, and that's all I did. I graduated high school with about just under a 1.0 GPA, because all I did, but, you know what I did have? I had 4 years of experience working in an actual functioning television station, and before digital took over, we were working off of 3/4 inch tape, data, so it was sort of it was tape, and patch bays, and, you know, reel-to-reel, deck-to-deck, and, you know, I learned all that stuff, and I probably produced and directed and edited hundreds of hours of content, and had a lot of working experience, and worked on many shows, and worked as a camera operator on a lot. Like, you learn every aspect of it. So I came out of it with skill sets.
Yeah, you had a 4.0 grade point average in the shit you cared
about. The shit I cared about, and then everything else is like, you have nothing to look forward to in your life. Congratulations, you have F's and B's, and I'm just like, but I have a dream, you know.
Sometimes that'll take you farther, you know, will take you a lot farther than skill sometimes.
No, for sure. I mean,
who did you meet? Tell me, this is a world of secret origins.
Yes.
Who do you meet in high school that would figure to play a role later in life?
Well, there were really two people that kind of changed my life forever in high school. One, when my dad and my mom got divorced, my dad, I think he was probably one of the first guys to ever use J-Date, I think.
He was the first one who launched into it.
I think probably when Jewish single women, or, you know, women started going on J-Date when they first opened, there was probably one guy there dating. It was my dad. But he started dating, and around the time I was, I think about 14, almost 15, my dad has some news from my sister and I, and that he's very seriously dating this woman, and she's a comedian. And we're like, I mean, my dad may talk on stuff, you know, my dad's he's a funny guy, and he's you know, very personable, and he's got a great sense of humor. But like, the idea of a comedian just sounded ridiculous, and I was like, oh, fucking comedian. It's just like everything was only negative. And we meet her. Her name is Viedo, and she changed my life forever. She became my stepmom, and somebody who, in my coming of age, truly helped me more than anybody really come out of my shell.
And what are her professional? She got professional bon fide days given.
Judy was, and this was really, I mean, other than, because the Oscar thing was like, it wasn't like, welcome to Hollywood, kid. I didn't know what Hollywood was. Because also, too, Beverly Hills High School, not really a lot of Hollywood kids. There was one, you know, a couple, but, you know, it wasn't like that. But Judy, that was our first experience in, okay, here are people who write television shows that we watch, you know. Judy wrote on a show called Boy Meets World. Before that, she had written on some other sitcoms and stuff, but what she was really known for was she was a comedian, and she was one of the very early members of the Groundlings. And I didn't know anything about that world at all. This
Groundlings, for those who don't know, is a LA comedian, a group of LA comedians and improv artists that formed, like, I guess in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s.
I don't know when exactly they started, but the group, yes, yeah, and the group that really made the Groundlings like the Groundlings, it was Phil Hartman, Paul Rubin, and John Morris, and Judy was in that group. Judy was performed, or she started out with John Lovitz and all those guys, and she was the one who, like, out of all of the girls who went up to audition for Saturday Night Live, she was the one that didn't make it through.
Right.
And, you know, like, the joke was that, like, like, it's controversial, but it's not true, but it's just a joke. It was like, yeah, Lorne Michaels hates Jewish women. You know what I mean? But basically, she was the one that didn't make that through, and she was, but she was very, very, very well respected among comedians. She was what you would call a true comedian's comedian.
And she was also, for you, a bridge to like, hey, I know fucking famous people, or I know people in the business, or you can come watch production.
It was pretty much like she'd never had like kids around her, like stepkids or anything. This was
and you're the perfect stepkid to be around, because you're like, I like your world.
Yeah, I mean, like, this world was so
that's fucking like, I mean, what a score that is. Like, imagine if you were like, I love sports, and she'd be like, fuck, man, I'm gonna get connected with this kid. She could connect with you on shit she does anyway, and that makes your father go like, Mike, the fuck on. And she gets along with kids, and like, it's win-win across the board.
What it was for us was mainly because I still didn't understand that she wrote for TV, because you hear that, you're like, hey, she writes for a TV show, and then you're like, man, writing for a TV show is all depressing, horrible existence. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, no, I mean, it wasn't easy. I mean, she for years was developing a show based around herself, like her own Seinfeld, and, it's like, it wasn't, the joy that I knew from her world was, or at least it was the camaraderie of comedians, and one of her best friends was Kathy Griffin, and she was very close with Margaret Cho, and a lot of these people who I was aware of, definitely, but it was like not the people you expect when you're like, okay, here's your introduction to Hollywood people, because it's like, I'm a 14-year-old, like, movie fanatic / like Misfits fan with like, buying like 4-inch nudity spikes and stuff like that, and I'm just like, oh cool, we're like going to Kathy Griffin's, and it's like,
well, she was in Pulp Fiction.
She was but I was a very shy kid growing up, and I'm very different today, and I attribute it to the fact that Judy forced me. Judy was a lot of people are, they love karaoke. And, love karaoke. So she baited me to do karaoke, because we would just go watch her do karaoke with her friends, and I mean, I was just like, I just want to go home and watch movies and play video games. This is stupid and lame. I'm over it with the Kathy Griffin and the Margaret Cho. Like, you just sort of like, it just becomes a part of like, your negative, misanthropic kid, and you just, it's cool, but you just stop caring at a certain point. But there was a part of me that really felt like I was like, I wish I had the balls to go up there and just like sing a song in front of people. Because that's like lame when you're a kid. It's like, you just want to do that. And one day when we were at my dad's, and because Judy lived in a very, my dad moved in with her, she lived in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment in Studio City. And on the weekends when we went to my dad's with Judy, it was like, I was sleeping on the roll-out couch, and my sister was in the little computer room. But I mean, that was like Hollywood, you know what I mean? You're like in your late 30s, and you're in small studio apartment, you're writing on TV shows and stuff like that. And she, but I was like, I told her one weekend, I was like, I can do an impression, and she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I can do a Louis Armstrong impersonation, because that was just something that I always used to do, because I love Louis Armstrong, and I was like, I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? That was good. It's not as good as when I was that age for some reason, but,
well, when you're fucking, you're 14?
Yeah, I was 14, you're rocking that. I was adult, so like, genius! Yeah, but still, it's fucking good. I sit next to a dude does
I say tomato, you say tomato.
That's pretty good. So I do that, and she cracked up. She's like, you are fucking doing that for karaoke, and we're gonna fucking do it, and it's gonna be awesome, and we're gonna do the duet. I say to my, I'm gonna be Ella Fitzgerald, you're gonna be Louis Armstrong. So we go do it. And here I am in front of all these people who are really funny people, and they're all laughing and applauding, and I went up there, and there's a picture of me and Judy, and we're doing it. And it was, that brought me out of my shell. And, by the end of high school, I had gained so much confidence through having this amazing, wonderful person in our life. I dropped 150 pounds. Like, I was so motivated to just better myself and to not be this, like, self-hating shy kid. And the tragic part of the story is she died when I was, after I turned 18.
No.
she had skin cancer and melanoma.
She died from skin cancer.
Yeah. And that's, you know, for those who are sort of like, okay, I have this great, you know, stepmom, but that's what was so profound about that, having Judy in our lives. That she was in our life. She was in our lives for just about maybe 4 years. And those 4 years, obviously for me, between 14 and 18, those are the most important years of your life when you're engaged. But those were the 4 years that we had this person in our life. And she was, you know, she's in my head every single day. She's still here with me. I truly do believe that, like, the spiritual presence, because I believe she's watching after me. But, you know, she was the one who really, because in terms of, can you do this for a living? Because what we do for a living is, it's make-believe. I mean, it's childlike, and we're childish at the same time. And, you know, my parents had more like, you know, real jobs, practical jobs, and
this is somebody who was the first kind of like, I'm imaginative too.
Yeah, I'm a weird, imaginative. You just come up with funny things, and that's our economy.
That's the first person you met works at the circus, dude.
Yeah, she was the first person I met at the circus.
Shit, like when you meet those people, like, yeah, you make a living at this. Like, it doesn't have to be that. Like, I came from the same kind of world. It's old man working in the post office, and it's like, you get a job. Yep, you don't get a dream job, you know, that's what people on TV do, or you go on a game show and maybe win money, but like, you get a job and you pay for your family. And it wasn't until, I don't know, I saw Slacker that I was like, maybe like my job could be thing that I dream. Like, why can't it be the same difference? You met a woman, taught you to dream big and dream practically, which is, you know, it's a weird combination because dream isn't practical.
Well, to get that validation, like, but that Louis Armstrong impression alone, that Louis Armstrong impersonation is what told me that people who do the stuff that I wanted to do, that I could be funny or accepted by them.
Yeah, or you're showing. Like, at the end of the day, it's a little showpiece, and directing, it was just like the ultimate showpiece for you. Like, I can do all of this.
Exactly.
I can control the actors as well.
And I through that, you know, it was very hard because she was going in and out of suffering with skin cancer from the last 3 years of her life. But it was here, and then it was there, and then it was gone, and then it was back. But, you know, through her the struggle and melanoma, you know, I've never known anybody who was so, as cliche as it sounds, alive and lived life while it was going on. And that was, you know, I can only strive to be as positive despite all of the challenges and circumstances around me, about, you know, kind of going out and giving it my all the time. And what's interesting is that she, right before she died, a couple of things. One, she made that show based on her and her comedy, her Seinfeld. They made the pilot.
Oh, get out of here.
What happened was, it was called Me and My Mates. And it was written by her and her best friend and writing partner, Cynthia, and it was about Judy, and Judy was played by Nicole Sullivan from Mad TV. And this was an actual pilot that they shot, and it didn't make it to air. But what happened, and this is the story as I remember it, is that everybody loved the pilot. The pilot at first is just about her living with her sister who's a lesbian, and just like her troubles with like men, and her sister has like a girlfriend and is more like, you know, stable than her. And this is like, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, so it's a different, you know, social world that we live in now. But so she, I think it was with ABC, they loved it, but they were like, okay, workplace shows are the shit now, so we want it to be a workplace show. So they changed the whole format to it. They ended up shooting the pilot, and through that, I got to see the whole process unfold. I've been selling the show and then shooting it, and I got to go see it. And then they shot it, and then they were like, okay, we love it, but we want to renegotiate everybody's contracts. And Judy at this point is dying. And they wanted to renegotiate her contract while she was literally on her deathbed. And I believe at that point it was Nicole Sullivan walked off the show because I think she was disgusted by how they were handle this. And it was just, I mean, that was really hard because, you know, you can kind of see that this is a very, very cutthroat industry. They don't give a shit about you. They really don't. And that was a powerful sort of thing to witness and experience. And, you know, there are a couple of people who I know from that time in my life who've stayed with me. One is somebody who's been a real mentor to me, named GMrDrew, he's a big writer on Arrested Development.
That's how I know that.
He works with he and his buddy Mitch Hurwitz, they go back to the Golden Girls together, and Jim used to be a part of this great comedy group in the 80s called the Funny Boys. And
it's just like on this fucking Frasier podcast they do, we were talking about,
you have a fucking Frasier podcast?
can you imagine? I just started, but we were talking about like that Mitch Hurwitz started on the Golden. I didn't even know that.
With Jim Ballard, the two of them together, they were.
And there was an adverb last name.
Yes, exactly. And they, I mean, Jimmy is incredible, and he's just one of the best dudes I've ever known. He's really been like my true like Hollywood godfather in a lot of ways. Like he's the one who's always sort of like been there to. You know, especially through Judy's death, because he's known Judy since the early 80s. And when you have somebody like that who makes such a profound effect on your life and they're suddenly gone, it's very comforting to be around the people that remind you of that person. And I've talked to Jim about every other week, and you know, he's been around in my life. But when I sold Chronicle and we were making it, I was sleeping in their back house. Really? In Jimmy's back house, yeah. So Jimmy's known me since I was 14, and he's just, when you're in Hollywood and you need a mentor. And it's not about getting a job. I mean, that's the thing a lot of people need to understand. It's not about like, oh, I get a job from this person, that person. And Jimmy will tell you this, a lot of people tell you this, I've never asked for a job from anybody. I've asked for advice. I've asked for feedback on something that I'm doing, but I've never expected, and maybe this is just from growing up here, I've never expected the magical moment when like I have a script and then but I haven't done anything to prove myself yet, and then pass it along to a friend who's going to pass it along to a friend that's going to be followed, because that never happens. That's not really the way to do it, and if it does happen like that, it's not going to work out that well, because you need to earn your shit. And Jimmy was really realistic with me, and he always believed in me. He's been a great person in my life. But another person who the opportunity to know and learn a lot from is somebody who became my one of my best friends in high school. Was my friend Molly, whose mom is Amy Heckerling, who did Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and she did Clueless and was talking, and I didn't have, and first when we were all friends, we had a group of friends, and we used to hang out after school, and we were friends. We went to this person's house, that person's house, we go to this place, hang out. When we were at Molly's house, it was kind of up in the hills, and I didn't really know what her mom did. Right. And I don't think it really became clear to me until maybe like a couple of months after we were all friends. And Amy was one of the coolest people that I've ever met in my life. I mean, she's the coolest mom. She's like just awesome, and very, 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 very the most authentically New Yorker you'll ever meet in your life. She's the thick Bronx accent. And she was a very inspiring person to me, obviously. And I used to... when did you graduate high school? When were you in high school? 2002. So Clueless was like 95, so by the time you met her, it's like she was coming off of Clueless. Exactly, yeah. No. Sorry, this was, this was in... I met probably in 2001. 2001.
So it's still post.
So this was post Clueless, post Loser, that she made with Jason Brooks. And we were really, she was just a cool mom, and we used to go with her, tag along to studio reads and stuff like that, and you just got to see that at first. And this was kind of around the time that
Judy was a part of our life, and she knew Judy, and Judy knew her. So it's like there were all these 6 degrees, and that's the thing about Hollywood. It's like everybody's connected somehow. Somebody's got, and so we did. Me and I used to tag along with Amy and go to like LACMA and see screenings of like surrealist films and like Billy Wilder movies and just different things like the movies that I didn't frequent as much in my dad's old movie cabinet were movies that Amy really loved, and I got to experience a lot of those, and she was almost like a film professor to me in a way. For free, exactly. And you know, so she was obviously a very big impact on me, and met a lot of very interesting people around the, you know, coming in the house every now and then. One of them, which leads me to my little short, the big question, is a guy named Robert Siegel. Robert Siegel, one of the original founding writers of The Onion, and one of the smartest satire writers, I think, that we have in modern history. Very influential guy in a way that not everybody knows about, because you know The Onion has had so much influence on the way that you know satire exists in modern modern entertainment and just sort of like in the world. And he was behind a lot of stories and headlines in Onion, and became the editor in chief of The Onion. And he wrote a script in I think late 90s or early 2000s called Paul Affiero. Paul Affiero, I read that script because when we hang out at somebody like Amy's house, and there's CAA sends tons of scripts every day, and I used to just read scripts all the time. And one of the and they're all terrible. That's the thing. Like the interesting part is like scripts that you read that like are being developed in studios are terrible scripts. So when you read something that's great, it's like, oh my god, like it's incredible finding. There's this one script that I read at the house that was called Paul Affiero, and to this day is one of the best scripts I've ever read. And Rob started developing something with Amy. He lives in New York, came back.
Alright, cool, man. As a thing that I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I know some people, they like long videos, other people they like shorter videos. And I don't know, maybe I'll break this down piece by piece instead of, just drawing through the whole thing and, making hours and hours long. I'm at a half hour right now. That's makes it a good, decent video. You got to see the turtles that I was working on in the past. That I'm sorry I didn't show you guys me working through them. I just really had to rush through it, and I don't know, maybe shooting this video was gonna slow me down or something. I'm not sure, but I want to get back into doing this. But there's a lot of elements that are gonna be going into this piece, obviously. Like these wings, I could probably break into one, just breaking down the feathers and everything like that. This fish, you can barely see it now, but there's a fish going on right here, and drawing that out, it's probably what I'm gonna work on next. That'll be a whole video on its own. I think this one, it works well. It's me just jumping back in. I got you see me doing some lettering. Maybe you guys can read it. I'm not sure how legible it is. I'll have to go back, and take a second look at it, but it's not bad. It's not bad for a first time, for just my first stab at doing some proper lettering for this. But well, yeah, thank you guys, girls, for watching, and yeah, I'll be right back on to start working on the koi fish, or whatever fish it is. I'm kind of anxious to show you guys my method on doing scales and how I learned and studied them and stuff like that. And I don't know, that's about it. This is GMrDrew doing his little sketch jams. Thank you for watching. See ya.